Okay, Candice. So recall last week we began thinking about our own inner thinking maps, and remember how we said that we cannot solve any of the issues we have created with the same thinking that created them. Do you remember discussing this?
Yes, I remember.
Good. Can you tell me something else you remember about our own thinking maps from last week?
Yeah, we basically went over how sometimes people can have faulty thinking maps, but the good thing about being in treatment is that we are in charge of our own thinking and can always work to change our thinking that eventually led us here.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad to hear you say that because you do have the power to change your current circumstances, even when you may think you can't. You can. The first step to changing your thinking is to become aware of your thinking patterns. In order to think about your thinking, you must first stop and identify your thoughts. Over time, you will see a pattern. I think it is good to start by looking at how we think and respond while you are here, so that when you are discharged, you have a set of tools to assist you when you leave. So basically, this program is designed to offer you help in writing a better thinking map. So what pops in your head when you hear that? How does that make you feel?
Well, the first thing that popped into my head was it's not as easy as it sounds. But I do feel hopeful most days about recovery. And I do feel motivated, but also scared and nervous at the same time.
It is perfectly fine to feel all of those things. Recovery is a journey, and everyone's journey is different. I know that we only have a short time together, but I want us to work together on every one of those feelings that you have. And like you said, it is easier said than done, but we're going to keep setting goals and working toward achieving them. So the goals for today and some of the goals for the rest of our sessions will be to learn how to think about our thinking. Then I would like for us to learn how distorted, extreme thinking leads to distorted, extreme emotions and behavior. Learn how to identify and stop old criminal and dependent thinking patterns before we act or react, and replace unsuccessful patterns of thinking with rational choices that will over time change those old patterns and lead to a healthier life for you.
That sounds like a lot.
It does sound like a lot, but try your best not to worry about how much it may seem like we have to do. Instead, try thinking about how much knowledge and tools you'll have when we're done.
I like that. That sounds cool.
Cool. Okay. So keeping in mind our goals for today, we are going to learn how to fill out a thinking report. And it is basically a way for us to practice thinking about our thinking, core beliefs, and behavior so we can change them. Remember, negative thoughts tend to lead to negative behaviors, which can then lead to negative consequences. The same goes for positive thoughts, which tend to lead to positive consequences, or at least help to avoid negative consequences. So knowing how to think about your own thinking can lead to a new successful thought map. So what I'm going to ask you to do in response and the feelings that arose from the thoughts, so I'm going to ask you to do first is to think about an incident that upset or bothered you very recently and report on what the event was, what thoughts you had in response to it, and the feelings that arose from those thoughts. Report also what actions you took, and let's figure out the core belief that may have caused these thoughts in the first place. Finally, we will look at alternative thoughts and behaviors that wouldn't cause as many issues. So think about an incident right now that upset or bothered you very recently and report on what happened. Stick strictly to the facts of what happened.
So the other day, right? I was sitting down eating lunch, and another inmate walked up to me and yelled that I was sitting in her seat. I was ready to curse her out. Like, excuse me? Tried to make me look like a punk in front of everyone.
Okay. So I see that it's getting you, like upset, like as if you were back in that moment. So what I want us to do, just try to remember to stick to what happened, like the actual facts of what happened, just for now.
Okay. So I was sitting down eating lunch, and another inmate walked over to me and said I had her seat.
Okay, good. So write down exactly what you just reported to me on your thinking report and tell me now what thoughts you remember that popped in your head.
What the hell is going on? Who does she think she is? Like, come on now. Where are we? We don't have assigned seats.
Good. Okay. So now, tell me all the feelings that you remember having at the time of the event. How intense were they? Were they mild? Were they somewhat intense? Were they very intense? Or were they completely overwhelming?
Nervous, mild. Embarrassed, somewhat intense. Confused, somewhat intense. Angry, very, very intense.
Okay. So what did you do after she told you that you were sitting in her seat? It could be something you said, did, or both.
I told her to leave me alone and mind her business, that we don't have assigned seats.
Okay. So now I want us to look at a core belief that you may have had that led to your thoughts and behaviors in this particular situation. So core beliefs are the thoughts behind our thoughts. So think about it in terms of an umbrella. When you were holding up an umbrella and how the raindrops trickle down, the core belief is the umbrella, the thought that we hold to be true about people, places, and things. The automatic thoughts and behaviors are the raindrops trickling down on the sides. What core belief do you think that influence your thoughts and behaviors in this situation?
People will always try to take advantage of you if you let them, especially in this environment. It's a dog-eat-dog world, you know? And if I don't watch out for myself, no one will.
Okay. So now that we know what our automatic thoughts come from, what are some alternative thoughts that we could choose that could lead to choosing a different behavior? Since we only really have control over our own thoughts and behaviors, come up with examples of alternative thoughts to help us avoid negative consequences as an example of self-control.
It's only a seat, you know? Why do I care where I eat lunch? A seat is not worth getting kicked out of treatment for.
Good, excellent. So last but not least, the alternative behavior is the result of the alternative thought. So most importantly, it represents a different way of reacting or not reacting. It is a new behavior, refraining from some old behavior, or both.
Maybe say nothing and simply sit somewhere else. Go sit somewhere else and then discuss it with my social worker in group later.
Good work, Candice. So you have done such an excellent job today. It is not easy for anyone to stop and think about how they think and behave. We are so used to reacting to things based on our core beliefs that we have made up about ourselves, others, and the world that can oftentimes be in conflict with the facts. I know you may have some questions. What are you thinking?
I just don't see every situation happening like that. Like, it's just not realistic to me.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Not in every situation will not happen like that. One important thing, though, is to remember that we only have control over our own thoughts and behaviors. And eventually changing these thought patterns will be your own new and improved thinking map to sobriety and freedom. So I just wanted to thank you again for such a good job today. We did a lot of work. And I really look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Try not to kick her ass.